Okay, so welcome back. All right, so let's continue. So you can see the other aspect, other principle, which says that continuous improvement. So which means in the concept of quality, there must be room for what? Continuous improvement. All right, and this is the concept used for continuous improvement. Okay, the plan, do, check, act. So what we are saying about quality is that you discover that if you are working on any task or any project, the first time you carry out the project or the task and you are repeating that same process again, you discover that you may have gotten the knowledge to know that, oh, and this one is not really important, let's do it this way. Why? Because there is room for continuous improvement. So for quality, there is always what we refer to as what? Continuous improvement. You keep improving on your project deliverables. You keep improving on the processes you are following on those project deliverables. Then we also have the last principle, which is management responsibility. You will discover that when we discuss the concept of quality, you must take note that um, the project sponsor is totally responsible for quality in the organization. Is totally responsible for quality in the organization. While also the project manager is ultimately responsible for quality of the product of the project. While the team are basically responsible for quality of the task assigned to them. So you can see the team, they are responsible for the quality, ensuring that the task assigned to them meets the quality, and the project manager is responsible for the quality of the project, while the project sponsor or senior management are responsible for quality of the organization. So these four are the four basic principles of quality management that the project manager must bear at the back of his mind. What are the impact of poor quality? What could be the impact if quality is not achieved? What could be the impact if the customer is not satisfied? If the requirements are not met as stated from the beginning of the project? Then you will see that number one, there is an increased cost. Just like the Ikoyi building that collapsed, definitely there will be an increase in cost if they are to erect it again. Okay, low morale, maybe low morale of the project sponsor, senior management, or other stakeholders because of the impact of what? Poor quality. Little or no customer satisfaction. Little or no customer satisfaction. That is also the impact of poor quality. Then we also have increased risk, okay, and rework. So there is increased risk, there is rework, and schedule delay. So all these are the possible impacts that can take place as regard to what? Poor quality. Okay, schedule delay and rework. Okay, also take note that there are also impact of good or high quality. The impact of good quality. Number one, the impact of good quality are number one, there is increased productivity, there is high morale, there is increased customer satisfaction. Definitely, when there is quality, if quality is achieved, customer will be happy. There will be productivity of the deliverables. Okay, there will be high morale of the team. They will be celebrated. They will be happy because they are able to meet the customer's requirement. There will be schedule efficiency. Instead of schedule delay, there will not be schedule delay because we are meeting our plans according to how we are planning for quality. There will not be any need for rework. Why? Because there is productivity. Then finally, there will also be what? Increased cost. Either good quality, either good poor quality or good quality, take note there is always cost increase. All right. In the terms of good quality, there is increase in cost. In the terms of poor quality, there's also increase in cost. So which means automatically that quality is not cheap. Okay. Achieving quality in a project is not cheap. I just hope that is clear. Then let's look at the difference between quality and grade. The difference between quality and grade. Now we know what quality is. So how do we differentiate it from grade? What is grade? Yes, Kennedy, help us. What is grade? Yes, Kennedy, we can hear you. Go on. Is allowed. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me ask you this question now. Joseph, can you talk where you are? Oh, you are still on the way. Okay, no problem. Don't worry. Um, uh, Kennedy, I want to ask you. Yes, I want to ask you one question. Will you say you know Nokia 3310 and you know Nokia Lumia? Will you say that Nokia 3310 has low quality than Nokia Lumia? All right. Exactly. Exactly. Take note. That is very, very correct. That is very, very correct. So we can say that grade is a categorization or ranking that is used, or classifications that is used to distinguish items that have the same functionality but have different technical specifications. That is grade. They have the same functionalities, all right, but they are different because of their different specifications. So they have different technical specifications or different technical functionalities. Okay, so that is exactly what grade is. So it doesn't mean that Nokia 3310, because of its classification at that time, does not have quality. All right. So every project or every product or every deliverables at their different level have their quality. So which means the specification for project A may be different from the specification of project B and may be different from the specification of project C, but they are all building projects. So you can't say that project C has more quality than project A. Why? Because each of them have their own specifications. All right. So grade is not a quality, but rather in every grade there is a level of quality that will be achieved. Okay, I hope that is clear. Okay, so let's quickly look at this table for the purpose of exam. That you see here, we have high grade, high quality. High grade, high quality. So which simply means that high quality with high grade is good. High quality even with low grade is good. So which means if the specification given to you by the customer is not much as project B, as long as you are meeting those requirements, it is good. Okay, low quality with high grade, you can see that upon all the specification of the high grade projects that have high specification, if you did not meet those specifications, then we can say that quality is low and that becomes bad for the project. Also, in the concept of low grade and the specification, though is few and you still did not meet those specifications, you can see that it also becomes bad for the project. Okay, all right. So that has been a misconception where people mistake grade as having quality problems. So grade is not the issue, but rather not meeting up with those specifications are the issues. Okay, so let me also share this with you. What will you say? Look at this table on the screen between shooter A and shooter B. I want you to look at it critically. Which of them do you think is a world-class shooter? Between shooter A and shooter B. So which of them do you think is a world-class shooter? Yes, Kennedy. I can hear you, sir. Go on. All right. That is so between shooter A and B, who will you say is a good shooter? I want you to look at it critically. Shooter A and B, who can you say is a good shooter? Hello, Kennedy, are you there? Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Instantly. All right. That is okay. All right. But I want you to know that when we discuss the concept of precision and accuracy in quality, this is also another argument or misconceptions that different theories have explained differently. Now, accuracy in quality or in a project is good, but it is not enough. What is accuracy? Accuracy is the assessment of correctness. Oh, it's correct. But now, precision is how many times was it correct? So, precision in quality is that at every point in time, it is always exact results. So, it must be correct. So, precision is the consistency of accuracy. Accuracy is ensuring that, oh, let's say for instance you are doing a project where you need to do some measurements. All right, all right. So now, and that measurement needs to be done like 20 place. Accuracy is that you did the first measurement is correct. Now, and you are not going to do that measurement in 20 place. So precision will now be that in that measurement of 20 place, how many of those measurements were exact the same measurement? That is a concept of precision and accuracy. That is why, yes, exactly, exactly. That is why I said, yes, that is very correct. Okay, that is very, very correct. All right, so please take note of that. And that is why you discover that if, for instance, now you give tailor cloth, all right, the same measurement for three different clothes that they will sew for you, discover that some tailors anyway, the same measurement, which is correct from the beginning, and then that's okay, let's duplicate this measurement in three or four different clothes. You discover that you now wear some is very tight, you wear some is fitted, you now wear some is loose, but it was the same measurement you gave to them. We can't say that that tailor is precise. So precision is the same measurement in 20 place, correct, exact. Okay, so take note, when we discuss the concept of quality, precision supersede accuracy. Okay, all right. So in the case of this shooter, shooter B can become a world shooter. Do you know why? You can discover that the 5 times he shot one exact location. So which means with little training and direction, it can hit the bullseye consistency. But you can see shooter A, the 5 times shooter A shot is shot at random. I don't know if you get that, please. So that is just by the way, anyway. Okay, so take note of that. Then the next thing we'll look at will be what are the project management processes that we have to follow through when discussing on project quality management. The first one, we must plan quality management, which is carried out under planning. The second one is we must manage quality, which is carried out under executing. And the third one is that we must control quality, which is done under monitoring and controlling. So let's look at the first process, plan quality. As I often say, that when we say plan quality or plan any process, is that in this process, we are trying to find out, identify all the quality requirements. Just like as Kennedy said, he said in his own word that there are standards. Okay? Now, in this case, when we are planning for quality, we are going to ensure that all the requirements of the customers, we are going to meet the standard. So to you as a project manager, meeting the standard the customer set for you is quality. So if the customer set a standard of 60%, meeting that standard of that customer is quality. All right? That is very important. Excuse me, sir, why do we have to rely on the standard? What about even if the standard of the customer is not, maybe the customer does not know that there is a higher standard? Can I quickly just adjust it for the customer and give the customer a higher standard? In project, no. Doing that is what we refer to as what? Gold plating. Gold plating is anything you do to make the to make the customer over happy or to over impress a customer is what we refer to as gold plating. The customer specified 7 requirements, and when you are now executing, you now said, you know what, this customer, let me just make it 8. That extra you added for the customer is what we refer to as what? Gold plating. And innocently, the reason why you added it is because you feel that you want to make the customer more happy. Yes, it is possible the customer will be happy, but in project, in the global standard in project management, it is called gold plating. Okay, and it is not advisable to gold plate in your project. Okay, so if for instance you need to add any features to the project, or you must go back to discuss with the customer to get approval before adding. Don't say, oh, this customer is very nice, let me just add these features, though he did not need it. What are you doing? You are gold plating. So gold plating is that process where the project manager and his team decide to add extra features, try to over impress the customer, make the customer very happy. What are they doing? They are what? Gold plating. Okay? Anything that will make you to give the customer extra functionality, extra performance, extra this, extra that, just to impress the customer. Take note, you are what? Gold plating. Because at the beginning, that extra you are giving to the customer was not planned for. Okay? So that is why it is very necessary you must sit down and focus on the plan. So planning quality is ensuring that you take your time to identify all the requirements that will make the customer to be satisfied, and making sure you meet those standards of requirement the customer has given to you. So plan quality is ensuring and putting in place the how you as the project manager and the organization and the team intend to meet that standard that the customer has set for you. So plan quality, the process of putting all those documentation together, having meeting, discussing all the things that needs to be put in place to meet that standard the customer has said, is the plan quality management process. And at the end of the day, what would that document do for you? It provides guidance and direction on how quality will be managed and validated throughout the project. Okay, it provides guidance and direction on how quality will be managed and validated throughout the project. So what do we want to achieve in this case? We want to achieve the quality management plan. So the quality management plan becomes the authentic document that we want to achieve for the particular project. Okay, so that quality management plan becomes a guiding document for every other person that will be executing any part of the project to follow through that particular plan. Okay, so that is the quality management plan. Then the next thing is that I want us to discuss some tools and techniques that we can use when we are looking at quality management. We have the cost benefit analysis. In the discussion of the cost benefit analysis is that the project manager must compare, must check what are we going to benefit if we spend 2,000 naira extra for the purpose of achieving quality. So there must be a cost benefit analysis. So what we are going to benefit or achieve, and the 2,000 naira, does it worth it? So if it worth it, you spend the 2,000 naira. If it does not worth it, you will not spend the 2,000 naira. That is what the cost benefit analysis. All right, so the cost benefit analysis is that analysis that takes place where the project manager begins to check the standard of the quality they want to achieve as against the cost it will take them to achieve that quality. And that will now become a guiding tool for them to know, okay, you know what, if we embark on this project and we are spending this extra money because we want to achieve quality, then it is worth it. If it is worth it, then cost benefit analysis will show that it's worth it. Then we also have cost of quality. What is the cost of quality? Cost of quality is is simply saying that the amount of money you are going to spend ensuring that quality is achieved is what we refer to as cost of quality, as it sounds. So if, for instance, in the concept of cost of quality, it can be divided into two. All right, it can be divided into two. So let me explain this with this diagram. So you can see on the screen cost of quality. And what is cost of quality? The amount of money you will spend to ensure that you want to achieve quality in that project you are working on. Oh, that house construction, that amount of money you are willing to spend to ensure that everything goes well. The customer is happy at the end of the day. You just don't want to do the project, and even though you are going to gain in your pocket, you decide not to focus on what you are going to gain in your pocket. Rather, you are focusing on what will make the customer happy to recommend you later in the future. That amount of money you will spend to achieve that is what we refer to as what? Cost of quality. And cost of quality can be divided into two, which is cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. All right. Example: the Ikoyi story building that collapsed. Cost of quality to that building is the amount of money that they would have spent to ensure that quality is achieved. And we are saying that it is divided into cost of conformance and cost of non-conformance. Let's look at the definition. Cost of conformance simply means the money that we will spend during the project to avoid failures. And what are those money? Prevention cost and appraisal cost. So cost of conformance is that money that the project manager and his team is going to spend to make sure that There is no failure at all. We don't want any issue. Oh, and you discover that you want to bring an equipment to be used. You discover that the equipment you want to use may be faulty. You now say, no, let's go for the best so that this work can be delivered on time. That extra amount you are spending because you are going for the best is what we refer to as cost of conformance, which is the amount of money the project manager is going to spend during the project to avoid failure. Excuse me. That is what cost of conformance. You can see the prevention cost. An example can be the money you want to spend for training. Maybe you want to quickly train that staff member so that he can understand what to do. Or the money you are going to spend because you want to follow the right documentation process. You don't want after you have started, they start disturbing you. Like for instance, now you see some buildings, all right, after they have laid foundations, they are doing block work. Maybe the state government will now come and say, and the land development people, they will now destroy some portion of the building. That come and see me, come and see us, and they will label it. Why? Because probably they did not follow the right documentation process. So you can see there is a prevention cost by following the right documentation process, using the right equipment, doing things the right way it's supposed to be done. That is prevention cost, and it's cost of conformance because you don't want any what failures. Oh, you can decide to say, okay, all the iron, all the materials, all the wood, let's go and test it before we use it. Okay, the supplier have supplied materials, let's inspect that material to know if it is quality or fake before we start using it. All that extra effort is what we refer to as what cost of conformance, which is what that you will do as a project manager to ensure that the possibility of any failure is avoided. Then we also have cost of non-conformance. The cost of non-conformance in this case is the money that will be spent during the project and after the project because of failure. Like the Koi building that collapsed, that amount of money the organization is going to spend because of lack of conformance, because they did not follow the right procedure, because they did not do things rightly, is what we refer to as the cost of non-conformance, the cost of not doing things rightly. Kennedy, I hope that is clear. The cost of not doing things rightly. So you can see that in the case of that Ikoyi building, they are going to spend more money. Now, let's even think of the cost of loss of life. The owner of the project, loss of life. What amount of money can be getting to because of that failure? What about other people that lost their life because of that failure? All those amount of money that will be spent because of a failure is what we refer to as what cost of non-conformance, which can be internal failure cost. Oh, maybe by the team that is executing, they did not follow the right procedure. You can see internal failure cost. It can lead to a rework or scrap. All right, whereby all the materials will now be condemned. They will now just sell it at the cheap rates. It becomes a scrap. Or it can be an external failure cost. Now, liability. If the man has gone to borrow money for that project, that Ikoyi building project, is owing them because it's shortage. It becomes a liability. How will he pay back? He's even dead. Who are they going to hold? What about loss of business? No more recommendations. The engineers that did that may not get recommendation. They may cease their license. So that extra money that is spent. Yes, Kennedy, you want to say something? Hello, Kennedy, are you saying something? We can't hear you. Okay, so that extra money that is spent is what we refer to as what? Cost of quality. Yes, we can hear you now. Yes. 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 Wow. So you are following up on the case. They want to bring it down. That is extra cost. That is lost. That's, oh God. All right. So that is that. So you must take note. There's what refers to as cost of quality. You must take note of it in your project. That extra amount you will spend because you don't want failure is cost of quality. It's paining you. It's supposed to enter your pocket as a gain, but you decide to say no because you want to ensure that there is no failure in this project. That money is what refers to as what? Cost of quality. Then we have control chart. I will explain control chart later. Then benchmarking. Yes, what is benchmarking? Kennedy. Yes, all this, I know you are used to all these things. Yes, what is benchmarking? Okay. All right. In addition to that, we can also say that benchmarking is that technique that involves looking at other projects to get ideas for improvement on your current project, and that now provide a basis to be used for measuring quality performance. That is what benchmarking. Oh, let's say your project is to, yes, is to create a pro. Let's say you have an ongoing maybe hospitality project. All right, they want to build a five-star hotel, and in that five-star hotel, they now said, you know what, we need to have swimming pool, and you now decide to say, you know what, let me go to maybe uh, Eco Hotel or Sheraton Hotel and look at the standard of their swimming pool and use that same standard to measure the standard of work I will do in my own project. Do you understand that? That is benchmarking. So which means you are using a co-hotel swimming pool standard for your own five-star hotel project where you need to have swimming pool. It becomes what? Benchmarking. Then what about statistical sampling? Yes, Kennedy. Statistical sampling. Sampling. Okay. Joseph, you wanted to say something? Oh, you are still on the road. I thought you are close somewhere. All right. Okay. So, statistical sampling, just as Kennedy said, for instance, all right, you 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 ordered for you had a discussion with a supplier, all right, and you requested that the supplier should send you maybe iron rod, okay, like 20,000 iron rod, okay, or even more than that. It may be iron rod or maybe wood or anything in your building project or your roofing sheet, 20,000, and they supply you the 20,000 iron rod or roofing sheet. Now, and you want to inspect the delivery. You know that technically you will not have the time to begin to inspect each iron rod, 20,000. Statistical sampling will now become a technique that can be used. So statistical sampling is now saying that out of the entire population of iron rod, let me pick at random a selected few from that entire population and examine that selected few. Whatever examination you have from that selected few becomes statistical sampling. All right, so that is the concept of statistical sampling. So out of a population that you need to inspect, you now select a few of that population size and examine that few population size is what we refer to as what? Statistical sampling. Excuse me, sir, why do we use statistical sampling? Statistical sampling is often used based on the simple reasons that if what you need to inspect is going to take too long, then statistical sampling becomes your best technique. Or let's say what you need to inspect will cost you too much money. Statistical sampling becomes the best that needs to be used. Or maybe what you want to do is too destructive. You are trying to be careful. Statistical sampling, you just pick a sample of the entire population that they have delivered to you and just look at it, and that becomes a measure for others. So also another tool again is the flow chart. The flow chart is a graphical representation of process showing relationship between one process to another process. That is the concept of flow chart. So you can see this is an example of a flow chart. You can see the graphical illustration showing different process. On the screen now, what you have in the rectangular box is the activities that needs to be done. You can see the arrow showing the direction or the flow of all that needs to be done. So you can see the process. Oh, the first process is project request, compliance copy, all the different stage by stage. All right, so that is that. Then you can see this one in a diamond shape. It simply means a decision is made. So this one is like a decision box. All right, so that is the concept of what? Flow chart. So flow chart is simply used for making sure there is what? A process flow. So flow chart is for showing or mapping your processes or showing the flow from beginning to the end of how everything relates. That is what? A process flow. All right, for your flowchart. So all these are different tools that can be used. Okay, so let's look at some other things that are very important for us to discuss. Before we look at the second process, I would like to quickly talk about Six Sigma. in the in this current quality modern dispensation, Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma has become a global standard. I believe you also know that Sigma is a certification on its own for those who are into quality or into production or those that do quality assurance. Okay, is a certification on its own. Okay, so the concept of Sigma or Six Sigma is that we know that quality is making sure we meet the standard. Now, how do we ensure that we minimize every form of errors and maximize every form of opportunities or every form of effort to be able to optimize what we are to achieve in the project? So the concept of Lean Six Sigma. Lean, L-E AN is a Japanese system that states that let's look out for a ways of reducing waste. So the concept of lean is waste reduction. So if, for instance, we have a process that produces a deliverable, all right, Six Sigma is saying that how can we refine this process so that we can cut off all the waste of time, waste of effort, waste of energy. Let's streamline the process to be very effective and straightforward. That is the concept of Lean Six Sigma. So the Lean Six Sigma concept is strictly based on the fact that as much as possible in our project, let's do all we can to reduce or minimize the level of error. So in the concept of the standard of quality, Sigma is expected to be of high standard quality. So these are the levels of accuracy in the industry, like what you have here down. At the early stage, long time ago, well, they were thinking of the processing of cutting waste, cutting costs, streamlining process, reducing error. The approved Sigma system was 68.25%, which means whatever process you will have to follow to satisfy the customer, the level of error that is permitted will be 29 or 28 point something percent. I don't know if you get that. So which means the level of accuracy you must have at the early stage of Sigma 1 is, if you can get 68.26%, you are good, you are doing well. So if, for instance, you have 29% error, no problem. That is the concept at the early stage of Sigma, because we were looking out for ways to keep streamlining the process. Oh, you are developing an application. Streamline all the process that needs to be followed to reduce the error level to as minimal. That is the concept of the Six Sigma. So all these you see on the screen are the percentage of accuracy that is accepted. So the current stage, which is Six Sigma, is 99.99% level of accuracy. So which means for every project you are working on, you are focusing on having 99.99% level of accuracy. So which means there is a 0.001 level of error or chance of error of your deliverable, which can be negligible, that the customer will not complain. Why? Because this is the standard that has been set. I just hope this is strict and is easy for understanding. Hello, Kennedy. I hope you understand that. Okay, all right, all right. Okay, so let's, yes, total quality management. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, yeah, yeah. Like for instance, now you are doing Jama concrete or casting pillar, and they are now pouring the mixed cement and sand and everything. Many of them will not just be pouring on the floor. That is waste now. So Sigma is saying that we must have a level of ensuring that we minimize the level of waste. So which means the processes that will be followed in achieving that is what Sigma is saying. You must streamline me for to avoid waste. Oh, they are doing decking. They now do the casting. in such a way that as they are pouring the concrete, it's pouring down. That's waste. How many cement or materials will you keep doing and it is pouring down? So we must reduce the level of waste of every project, and that is the concept of total quality management in your project. Then the next process we want to look about is manage quality. The concept of manage quality, take note, is that concept that we refer to as quality assurance. And that is why we refer to it as the executing aspect of the project of quality. So manage quality is that aspect in quality management where we are going to begin to audit all our processes. We are going to begin to audit if we follow the right standard. We are going to begin to audit if what we decided or we agreed to do is what we actually did. That is what manage quality. Remember at the beginning we did a plan that we're going to follow this plan to achieve this quality. So manage quality is now saying that let's now check if that plan is actually followed. All right. So it is like manage quality is like performing quality assurance. And when we say we are performing quality assurance, it's simply saying that we want to audit our process. Is the work being done? Is it done by following the right policies? Were they done by following the right standard? Were they done by following the right processes that we agreed upon? That is what manage quality. And who does this managing of quality? Take note. It is not the project manager that audits the processes. It is not the project manager that will come and check if the standard they follow is right. It is often done by a third party outside the project team. Hello? Outside the project team, which means it can be a third party that is not part of the team but in the same organization. It's not part of the team executing the project but the same organization. Or if everybody in the organization they are executing the project, it can be outsider. But the point now is that whoever is going to audit the quality process that has been followed in the project must be someone outside the team that perform that particular project. Okay, I hope that is clear. It must be outside the team of the people that perform that particular project. That is simply what refers to as what? Manage quality. So in a nutshell, manage quality is when a group of people from outside the project come to check and assess how the project is faring, come to assess if the project will follow the right processes in achieving all the results in that particular project. What do we want to achieve if we audit our quality process? We want to have a quality report. We want to have a report showing all if we follow the quality process. It becomes a quality report. And also all the test and evaluation document. All the things that they came with. Oh, they evaluated all the process. Yes, what was their result? All the things they discovered before they put it in a report. All those documentation that took place. That becomes test and evaluation. Okay. And what is the measured technique for quality management and for manage quality is what? Quality audit. So that managed quality or performing quality assurance is simply what we refer to as quality audit. All right. So quality audit is that process where the project and the organization ensure that a team from outside the organization come around to check if what has been done is properly done. So at the end of the day, there becomes what? A report. That is what? Manage quality. Then the third process is control quality. So this process of control quality is that process where the project manager ensures Now take note, it is now the project manager in this control quality that ensures that everything we plan to execute is properly executed. All the way, all the plans, all the documentations, all the things we actually say we are going to do, we actually did them. That is what control quality. So that we are able to meet the customer's requirement. Okay? So that is what control quality, so that we are able to meet what the customer's requirement. All right. So what do we want to achieve under control quality? Please take note, what we want to achieve under control quality is what? Verifiable deliverables. So we want to get to the point where we can verify and be so proud that what we have achieved for our project is actually what we intend to achieve. Okay. Sorry, please hold on. I have a call. quality. Okay, so control quality is saying that let's quickly check what we plan to do as against what we eventually did. That becomes what? Control quality. Okay, now I would like to also let you know that in quality management, yes, hello.
I said, that is, I'm trying to, maybe reframe what you just said.
Okay,
Probably that is meeting up with checking if standard is met.
yes, exactly. Remember, we agreed on the standard. Okay,
Yeah,
we have agreed that we're following the standard. Okay,
yeah,
and remember, you are not the one performing the main task, you are following up. So control quality is now saying that let's check if that standard we agreed on to achieve is actually what we have achieved, or that process we have agreed to follow to achieve the standard, is it the process we actually followed to achieve that standard? That is control quality. Do you get that now? So it's more like a measurement system for such. Okay? So quickly, there is no way
in
we.
most cases,
Yes, go on. Yes, go on, Kennedy.
you cannot write the exam and you have to say.
Exactly. You- so that is it. Okay? All right. So
It's okay.
so before we wrap up, there's what we refers to what we call it the 7 basic quality tools. Okay, but it's nice that we just talk about it a little, just for the purpose of exam. Okay, so it's not something that you are not familiar with. All right, so we'll just pick them one after the other and just talk about those ones that are very important or maybe difficult for understanding. So back to the 7 quality tools. The first one that I would like to talk about that is somehow tricky is what we refer to as the cause and effect diagram. It can also be referred to as the Ishikawa tool or the fishbone diagram. Please take note of that statement. It is called the fishbone diagram. It is different from fish diagram. All right, so don't go and make that mistake that I made, that I saw fish diagram and I rushed to tick it, not knowing that there's difference between fishbone and fish diagram. Okay, so that is that. So the cause and effect diagram or the cause and effect tools and technique, which can also be referred to as the Ishikawa fishbone diagram or even the YY diagram, is that technique used by project manager to actually get to the bottom or to actually get to the root cause of the problem. So the cause and effect diagram is that pattern in which the project manager don't focus on the problems, but rather he decide to search and trace what actually caused the problem. So the concept of the cause and effect diagram is that you can see the diagram here is looking at the fish bone. Look at the fish head and all the bones attached. So what he's saying is that in a project there are likely to be some problems. What in such a case, if you are using the cause and effect diagram principle, we are saying that the project manager will not begin to pay attention on the problem or the effect or taking paracetamol or trying to just have a caricature solution for the problem, but rather for him to be able to solve this problem precisely, he begin to dig deep to the root cause of the problem. That is to say, he begins to ask himself questions. Now, let's say for instance, a building collapse, okay, which is the problem. and is the effect now. And the project manager is now worried. What could be the cause of that building collapse? So you can see he now wants to trace it. It could be the people, which means the team members that are performing the task. Maybe they are not doing the right thing. Or it could be the process agreed to follow. That could be the cause. Or it could be the equipment. So you can see all the different aspects. So following all these different aspects helps you to fish out and get to the root cause of the problem. So instead of the project manager to be worried himself about the problem, he now actually have to go to the root cause and dig deep and find out what actually could be the problem, which can be from the people, process, equipment, or it could be for the material use, the environment, or management. Okay, so this is the concept of the cause and effect diagram. All right, I hope that is clear. Okay, so the cause and effect diagram is that diagram that looks backward at what may be contributing to the quality problems on the project. So it is that diagram that shows to the project manager not just the problem, but the best way to clarify and solve the problem. And that is by tracing out the possible root cause of that problem. Okay, so you can see that automatically for the project manager to do that is going to decompose every aspect of the project so that he can fish out where the problem is. And that is the cause and effect diagram. Then we also have another diagram that is used in quality. I believe many of you use this. We call it check sheet. A check sheet is like that document that is mostly used for data collection. All right. You have a list of all the items you need to check. It has been stated in the document. Then the check sheet is now like, let's check. Item number 1, is it there? Did we achieve item number 1? If it's there, you mark it, tick it. Item number 2, the quality item number 2, do we achieve it? Is it in the project? Was it part of the deliverable? Yes, you tick it. So the check sheet is actually used for what? Data gathering, which is mostly to keep track of data, such as quality problem uncovered during inspection. So it is often used during inspection to find out the problem that may be occurring in your project. So the check sheet is it's like that document used by project manager to actually find out from the data they will gather what could be the problem. So technically the check sheet is used for what? Data gathering. Okay, so that is what the check sheet. So in every check sheet, they are all what refers to as the items to be checked. Okay, which refers to as the checklist. There is a checklist. So all these items you have, they are the list. So we call it a checklist. So you see that the project manager will keep checking, ticking it, ticking it, ticking it. That becomes what? A check sheet. So the check sheet is mostly or is primarily used for the purpose of data gathering. Okay, so that is the check sheet. Then let me quickly explain um, histogram. Histogram is also a graphical representation of distribution of data. Okay, so if for instance I have used the check sheet to gather data, I can use the histogram to now represent those data. So the histogram will now show us a graphical representation of those particular data. Okay, so that is that about the histogram. Then we also have the flow chart. We've explained the flow chart before. Okay, and the flow chart is more like a diagram that shows us the process or the flow of what needs to be done within a system. So that becomes what? The flow chart. Then the other one again that needs to be talked about is what we refer to as the Pareto chart. The Pareto chart. So the Pareto chart is what I need to explain because of how important it is in quality. Now, what is the concept of the Pareto chart? We also refer to it as the Pareto principle or the 80-20 principle. So the Pareto chart can be referred to as what? The 80-20 principle, which states that 80% of the problems are due to 20% of the root cause. So which means 80% of the problems you see in a project most often have 20% of its root cause. So which means 20% of that 80% problem have 20% root cause. You call it the Pareto chart or the Pareto principle. So you can see that the Pareto principle is like a bar chart. But in this case, the Pareto principle is showing us in the order of priority, okay, the frequency or the occurrence of what has been generated. So the Pareto principle is in such a way that the results that have been generated can be from the most frequent to the least frequent. It also helps us to identify the root cause of the problem. So the Pareto principle also helps us to do what? Identify the root cause of the problem. So, but what the Pareto principle actually focuses on, it shows us the frequency of that aspect of the project that have more problem. Okay, so it is strictly based on priority. And that is why we said that it can easily help us to find out where problem is more. So what can we use the Pareto principle to do? Number one, it can help us focus attention on the most critical issue. Just like as you can see on this diagram. From this diagram, this chart has been prepared, all right? And it is prepared based on the level of frequency. That's how it has occurred. Now, from this diagram, you can easily tell which aspect of the project has more problem. So you can see that about the most problems are caused by traffic. So you can see the percentage of problems in the project caused by traffic. So which means by looking at this diagram, the project manager can quickly look at the aspect that have more frequency, which means traffic caused more problem in achieving the desired result in the project. So the project manager can easily look at this diagram and say, okay, since traffic is more frequent, it has more occurrence of this problem, so let me focus on trying to solve the issue of traffic. So you can see that the Pareto principle, it is that principle that focus more on those critical aspects or those aspects of the project that have most frequent issue. Okay, so the Pareto principle prioritize potential cause of the problem, and you can see from this diagram, you can easily tell that it is better for us to focus more on traffic than to focus more on emergency. So the project manager will focus more on solving the problem associated with traffic because he has seen from this diagram that the aspect that have more problem is traffic. So in a nutshell, the Pareto principle is that document that helps the project manager to now know the aspect of the project where more problems occur. That is the concept. Which aspect has more problem? It shows that traffic aspect has more problem in the project. That is the concept of the Pareto principle. Then lastly, I would like to talk about a control chart. A control chart is that chart that simply shows the control limits. There is always a control limit for everything we do. Now we call it control limit because we want to be able to put control to what is actually done. If, for instance, I don't know if this has occurred to you in a project. Let's say in a project you are discussing with your customer the time frame to deliver the project. And the customer is telling you that, you know what, I will prefer this project to be delivered in 2 months' time, which is let's say 8 weeks' time. Let's put it in weeks. I want this project to be delivered in 8 weeks' time. Okay, now that becomes what we refer to as specification limit. Why is it called specification limit? Because it is the customer that actually gave you the specification time, which is what? 8 weeks time. It becomes what? The specification limit. Now, you, the project manager, after that discussion, you now went to your team. You now told them that I want this project to be delivered in 6 weeks time. Why do you not tell them 6 weeks? So that you are telling them, you discover that now you have reduced the time. Why are you reducing the time to 6 weeks? You are putting a control. So that at least within 6 weeks, we should have gotten a good level of progress. So unknowing to the team, they didn't know that they have 8 weeks, but you constrain them to use 6 weeks. So that is what we mean by the control chart. So the control chart is that chart that helps us to detect a trend of what is happening in your project. So if there are some data activities or some work schedule that is outside the control limit, it becomes a signal for the project manager to raise an alarm. That becomes the purpose of the control chart. So you can see this diagram, you see the lower control limit and the upper control limit. And you can see this line, middle line called control limit. It is the project manager that sets the control limit. The upper control limit is set, the lower control limit is set by the project manager. But the specification limit is set by who? The customer or the project sponsor. But the team may not know the specification limit. So it is not the project manager that will not specify that, you know what, I want us to achieve this result in 6 weeks' time. And the team begins to plan and work on achieving the result in 6 weeks' time. Okay, so any activity that is outside that 6 weeks, it simply shows that the project is becoming out of control. If we have agreed 6 weeks and everything should be working within 6 weeks and it's not working within 6 weeks, it gives you a signal that it is what? Out of control. I just hope that is clear. Nicole, hello, is that clear? Hello, Kennedy, is that clear?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Joseph, is that clear? Hello, Joseph, is that clear? Hello, Joseph, are you there? Okay. So, what is the tools mostly used for control quality is inspection. The project manager will have to inspect what has been done if it is in conformance to the standard we have agreed upon. Okay, so that is that about quality. So there's no quality is very simple and straightforward. Okay, so quality is very simple and what straightforward. That will be the end of quality lesson. I would like to quickly ask, Kennedy, the materials have been sharing. Have you been studying? Have you been having time to go through, or you want to wait until it's but after the class you now settle down and be studying them, or what? Mm. Okay. Okay. All right. No problem. That's all right. All right. No, Alan, that one works. That's also another strategy. Okay. That's also another strategy that can be used. All right. Okay. So hopefully by God's grace, tomorrow, 7, or if possible, we can start earlier. All right. So, all right. Okay.